So let's start with the first one, a business life cycle. As we know that our garment industry has comes under your fashion industry. So monotony and boredom always comes after wearing these types of garments in a few days, and competitions is always be there in our industry, and everybody is competing with us with each industry in terms of the cost as well as the designs. So we can say if we take this 2 to 3 weeks of this time spans, the products which comes into the market in a new form, it comes under the, we can say, introduction stage. So where the garments are introduced, and everybody is focused to purchase the new things. And when everybody got to know about the its designs, its palettes, each and everything, the demand of this products rises and it reaches to the peak stage. After this, what will happen? The new competitors comes, and again they produce a new product into it. So the declination starts and obsoletes because monotony and boredom occurs in the customers. So these are the general business life cycle. It happens, and every competitor has to compete with the other side, this one industries. So in that case, we have to keep always focused about the new designs, what are the competitions coming into the markets, and what are the demands of the customer is. And second one is when we manufacture these garments, we have a different sections are there: fabric, your sewing, and finishing and packing. So we'll face a various types of defects which we can I can give you in form of answer. If we talk about your sewing department, there is a skipping of stitches, machine breakdowns, the roping, and these n number of problems were there. So we have to handle this manufacturing jobs by putting some quality control tools and procedures, ठीक है, setting up some checkpoints over there in various departments. And the last one is a same thing, is that we need some departments in the form of a spotting if there is a fabric defect in terms of a chemical or dirty fabrics are there. So cleaning departments, that comes under the washing departments. So these are the things which by this way we can handle the repair jobs and as well as the manufacturing job. Now the next and the last part, we are going to discuss about the technical details where we understand the various tools that we used and what are the safety aspects and raw material which is utilized in our garment manufacturing. Let's talk with the first one as the tools. If we say, right, starting from your fabric department, we need a table where we can spread our fabric, check out what are the flaws we get during the time of spreading and cutting. Second one is your cutting departments. Cutting department need to be required one spreading table and cutting machineries. Cutting machineries are your cutting machineries, or we can say your bends, your ticketing machines, that has to be made in the form of bundles. And second one is after when cutting of inventory has done, so we'll shift this material to the sewing department for sewing of the garments. So where the sewing departments is a very labor intensive area where we find n number of machines. The machines which will covered under sewing departments are your single lock stitch machine, generally required for manufacturing of your shirt or trouser or maybe whatever. It comes under the mother machine. Second one is a overlock machine for covering of the edges, and n number of machines depends upon the requirements, because I am talking about only the woven sectors. If we talk about the knitting area, which we say in a hosiery, right? So they need some specialized machine. It comes under the flat lock machine or others, we can say. So next it goes to finishing department. Again, finishing department needs ironing, steaming, right? And the last one is your finishing and packing. Finishing and packing, where ultimately will pack the things and it is finally sent to the buyer or to the customers.
As sir has discussed about the various machineries that are being required in various departments, right from the fabric to the stitching department and finally to the finishing. Now when we are talking of machinery, obviously we are playing with electricity and all, then we need to take care that who all labor are working in our industry. We need to take care that they are being safely and soundly working in the environment. Now for that, obviously when we are talking about some special safety measurements, one thing is that all the aisle areas need to be marked with a yellow line, so that in case of emergency or in case there is no light, people are aware and they can follow the yellow line and they can move on to the exit area. Secondly, we need to have fire extinguishers placed in suitable areas. Thirdly, we need to have all the things ventilated. Our rooms and everything should be highly ventilated and properly lighted for our workers to work in the environment and in the company. Then for the workers, as because we are working with the wovens and we are playing with the fabrics, so it is important that when you are working with the fabrics, then a lot of threads are being suspended air in the air particles, which actually are being inhaled by the workers, and they can really cause a lot of asthmatic or bronchitis problems. So to avoid that, it is very very important that each and every worker who is in the cutting department or who is in the finishing department, fabric department, they need to really wear a face mask, so that to avoid those problems of lungs and obviously the sinusitis or maybe the breathing problems. Then in the cutting department, it is very very important people who are working on the straight knife or round knife, and especially on the band knife machine. Now because when you're working on a band knife, then you're cutting the fabrics into pattern pieces, so it is important that the blade of the band knife is working at a very very high speed. So if you're not wearing anything on your hand, definitely you will cut your fingers and it will be real problem throughout your life. So people who are, or the operators, to be very specific, who are cutting on the working on the band knife machine or the straight knife, they need to wear a particular hand mask which is made of iron or steel, so that they do not cut their fingers or their damage their hand. Then other aspects of safety, obviously all the people who are working in the finishing department, because a lot of steam at a very high pressure is moving and on very high temperature, everybody needs to wear hand gloves so that they do not damage with the steaming that is being coming out. And obviously in the pressing department also, the rubber mat should be there, so that people who are pressing or who are doing the ironing, they need to stand on the rubber mat, so that in case of any unavoidable situation, they do not have an electricity contact. So these are some of the safety measures. Then we move on to the understanding of the raw material identification. Now when we talk of raw material identification, we are talking in terms of wovens or knits. Now when we are talking of wovens, there are a lot of raw materials, especially cotton, linen, then flax, jute. It depends what type of products and what kind of material you are using in your organization. And the identification is important. There are a lot of tests being conducted which can give you a fair idea that what all your vendors are giving you. When you are asking for 100% cotton, then the test of that burning test will tell you that whether that particular product that has been supplied by your vendor is actually 100% cotton or not. So you have to have a little bit fair knowledge about the testing things, so that you are not making something which is not being demanded by your buyer. And you have to be very very particular that what all vendors you select for the raw material, they are particularly providing you a quality product, because total quality is very very important. When we are talking of total quality management, this means that in every department quality is being followed if you want a quality product, because these days customer is the king, and there you are not the only producer who is manufacturing that kind of a product. You have hundreds of producers down the lane, and if you're not able to satisfy your consumer, the other producers are standing right next to you and they will fulfill the demand of the consumer. So for the raw materials, majorly the markets are in New Delhi, then you have Bangalore, Gujarat, especially for the, if you're talking of let's say if you're talking Punjab, then most of the things people girls are wearing suits and all, so you need dupattas. Then because most of the Sikh community is here, so you have Rumala Sahib and all. So for that raw material we have Gujarat and obviously Mumbai and Bangalore. And for the knits, you can move on to the hosiery department, that is obviously in Ludhiana and Tirupur.
So let's start with the various machinery that used in, as well as the cost of that machine. So if we talk about the first machinery as your cutting machinery, cutting and spreading machinery, which are in the form of various vendors are there in the market. So it is available in the market of Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore. So if I take an example, in the form of example, the name of that vendor which are supplying to this one is IIGM, and many others are there. The machinery which are into that export industries are Joki and Brothers, and many other machineries are there in our market. If you would like to purchase, or if you want to, you can use your own cautiousness and number of fairs. I'll take an example, that is a Garment Technology Expo. every year it happens, and number of vendors comes into the market and show their machineries to the customers. So it always will happen in the month of February in NSIC Okla in Delhi. You can just visit over there and find out which one is suitable for your industries. Then the costing part, because the cost always varies as the industry is growing, the taxation. So I cannot directly say, but tentatively the slab line which we can say for the mother machine, that is single lock stitch machine, for starting a basic things for manufacturing of the shirt or the trouser, it would be not less than 20 to 25,000. It is not more than, we can say, so much costly, which we generally take a few machinery that has been taken by the boutique house. So this quality of that machine is a Japanese manufactured. The quality of this machine, and even the productivity of that machine, is comparatively high. So same in that case, your overlock machines are there. Same, it's a Juki made, but the competitors, according to the quality of that machine manufacturings, are n numbers are there. So Pegasus is there in this market. So, and the various tools along with that. So requires the cutters, notchers for spreading and cutting, right? Band knife machines, and in your flat lock machines. So n number of machines are there.